guys, it's Geneviève from the Red Fairy Project. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to March. And as you can see, I'm manifesting spring arriving early. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, depending on where you live. I'm in Canada and there is still a lot of snow. It's actually snowing out there right now, but let's pretend it's spring. That's what I'm doing anyways. So we are going to be together for the next 4 weeks, and the theme for this month is maintaining motivation and momentum. So at the beginning of the year, we focused on being happy and lean in 2019. And we know that that was a focus on the body, the mind, and the soul. And I want to check in with you and see where you're at now. So 3 months later, how's it going? Still motivated? I think everybody at one point has kind of a dip in their motivation, and sometimes it can be like a slump. Sometimes it can feel like un précipice, as we say, like it can just feel like a never-ending. Sorry about that. Oops, forgot to mute my phone. So sometimes it can really feel like a really, really long fall, like that's just never ending. And whether you're in that kind of a scenario, and whether it's regarding your health, your weight, it could even be like relationship-wise, it can be career-wise, it can be all sorts of things. We don't just have motivation when it comes to like physical activity, for example. It can be basically any aspect of our life where we feel like we're kind of like on a plateau or like in a real slump. So I wanted to touch on in the next month, when, as I said, it's about we're 3 months in, entering the 3rd month of the year, and maybe there is a bit of a loss of motivation. So the most important element to your motivation, and we're going to touch on a lot of different elements in the next 4 weeks, but for me the core, the foundation, you guys know I always like to start with the foundation, is your why. And in previous videos I have talked about your why. There's this amazing book by Simon Sinek, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and it's called Start With Why, and it is such a good book. It's an easy read. I really recommend it to honestly everybody. You can't go through this life without like having your why and having your purpose. And if you're struggling with motivation in whatever aspect of your life, if you don't know your why for that specific aspect, for sure you're going to struggle with motivation. So and then the opposite is true as well. When you know your why, it's much easier to maintain your motivation and even to grow it on the short, medium, and long term. So let's say we're talking health. And we're talking not even necessarily weight loss. Like I don't weigh myself, I don't focus on that. More like feeling comfortable in your body. So let's say at the beginning of the year, you decided, I really want to eat healthy, I want to exercise, let's say 4 or 5 days a week. And in January, like you were super excited, super motivated. February, not too bad. And now you feel like maybe in the last couple of weeks, maybe you've had less workouts, maybe you've slipped a little bit when it comes to your eating habits, and you're starting to get really down on yourself, and you're kind of really angry with yourself and disappointed in yourself. So the first thing is really to come back to why. Why did you set up those goals for yourself? Is it to look good for somebody else? Is it for a specific occasion? Is it because, and this for me is like the enemy number one when it comes to our language, is it because you should be healthier? If that's your reason, that's not your why. I find we need to eliminate that word from our vocabulary, because it just makes us feel guilty, and it might motivate us on the very short term, but it's exactly that. It's just very short-term motivation. I don't find there's anything positive about that word. So if you hear yourself saying that in your verbal dialogue, or if you notice that that's what your thoughts, really try to shift that mindset to something else. So if your why, for example, is you really want to be comfortable in your body, you're thinking about, going to the beach this summer, just being confident. It doesn't mean being skinny or thin. It just means being confident and comfortable in your body. And you want to be healthy, and maybe do like activities with your kids where you have a certain level of energy. So if that's really the core reason why you wanted to change that lifestyle, you have to come back to that. You really have to remember the core reason, that that reason, that why, that it like generates something in your heart. If you just try to do it with your mind, I guess it might work for some people, but for me it doesn't. For me it really starts here, and it really also starts with, how do I want to feel? I decided I wanted to make this change or set this goal because I think it's going to make me feel a certain way once I do. So you really have to come back to that, and you have to remember that, especially on those mornings, those dark mornings where you feel like sleeping in and pressing snooze and not working out. You really have to remember how it's going to make you feel, even on the short term, for example. It's going to make me feel really good once I'm done, and then eventually, once those right decisions accumulate, it's going to make me feel even better. So also keep that in mind. If, let's say, kind of on the opposite end, if you're, once again, you want to be healthy, you want to eat healthy, you want to feel good in your body, let's say you're tempted to eat some junk food. And I mean, everybody eats junk food. I love myself some poutine or some chips or some cake from time to time. But let's say you've already maybe treated yourself a few times, and now you really want to just make really healthy choices for the rest of the week, but somebody brought, I don't know, chips or chocolates or whatever to work, and there's like temptation around you. So you really want to, once again, focus on your why, and there think of, I might get very short-term pleasure out of it, but I won't get long-term happiness. It'll just be a kind of immediate gratification. And that's really something that's actually quite important when we think about motivation and momentum, and like motivation on the long term, is that sometimes we tend to go for that immediate gratification, grab that, glass of wine, or skip that workout because just on the short term, like it just feels better to just whatever, kind of not make the effort. But then on the long term, you're not going to meet your goals, you're not going to respect the promise that you made to yourself. So that's really, really important, as well as thinking about the long term and not just thinking about the short term. So come back to that. Look at where in your life you do feel motivated, where in your life you don't feel motivated, and see what's the recipe of the places in my life where I do feel motivated. And I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons is because of your why. And I've talked about it in a few videos over the years because it's something I strongly believe in. For me anyways, it works in many aspects of my life when I really think of where do I kind of stay on track, and then where do I go off track. When I go off track, it's usually because I'm not clear on my why, on the actual reason, rather than like, oh, I should be putting money aside for my future. That's one place where I have a bit of a weakness in my life. Another thing that you want to do is you really want to commit to yourself and make a promise to yourself. And that's something I do on a daily basis. So let's say like during the holidays and all that, there was more like junk food at work and stuff like that. And I'll say for a couple of days I did indulge, and then on this day I'm like, I really don't want to eat candy or anything like that. So sometimes you can say that and then you just totally like crumble under the pressure or the temptation or the stress or whatever. So what I did is I actually wrote down in my journal in the morning, I wrote down, I make a promise to myself that I will not eat that candy, that whatever it is. And I brought it with me and I looked at it a few times during my day, and there's nothing that like pisses me off more than not holding a promise that I made myself, because I know I'm going to feel so disappointed. So just writing it down like that, it's that extra step, it's like that extra commitment. So you're more likely to stick to whatever goal or whatever promise that you'd made yourself. And when you do that, you feel motivated because you believe in yourself and you're like, okay, yeah, I can keep going, I'm on the right track. So I find that's another trick that works really well. So let me know if you have any questions. I hope you're as excited as I am for spring and for these videos. And there's nothing better in life, honestly, than feeling inspired and motivated. So let me know if you have any tips and tricks, or if you maybe have challenges in a particular area. If you have any questions, you can comment below. And I'll see you next week. Love you guys. Bye.